Hi, Mystery Rika here today. I'm going to explain a thriller sci-fi movie called D. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens in the far future where Earth's population of 21 billion has brought the whole planet to the brink of destruction, as if the ecological problem wasn't enough. One day a giant black sphere appeared near Mars out of nowhere. A team of 6 astronauts were quickly dispatched to investigate it on a spaceship named Achilles. For 8 months they spent the journey in cryogenically induced sleep. They probably could have toughed that one out awake. The chief astronaut and scientist on board, Carla, spends most of this time dreaming about her daughter and her mother, who tragically died in a car crash 2 years ago. When there are only 8 hours left to reach this far, the crew is woken up. While they take a moment to stretch their muscles, Carla notices a crew member named Siru looking rather rattled. It is his first time hibernating, so Carla advises him to rest. The latter, however, is a vlogger and wants to capture his authentic experience for his massive online fan base. There is so much wrong with this. Soon afterwards, Carla meets with the ship's commander, Sen Paul, in the control room. They try learning more about the sphere by scanning it, but the ship's AI is unable to gather any data or information. Carla thinks they should go back, but the commander wants to finish their mission anyhow. Meanwhile, it is evident that the lack of information is making Ruben even more nervous than he already is. The crew then decides to contact Vance, the head of the expedition program. He tells them that people on Earth are eagerly waiting for an answer to the mystery. Vance urges them to complete the mission, as they cannot disappoint the Earth's citizens, who are already facing numerous problems. After the meeting is over, everyone goes back to their room when suddenly Carla starts hearing her mother's voice in the corridors. She looks around but doesn't see anyone there. Ruben similarly is startled awake by creepy whispers in his room. When Carla finally does get to her room, Vance contacts her through a video call. He seems to be worried about her because she's been looking extremely tense. As Carla assures him that she's fine, the call is abruptly cut off. The ship's AI announces that the sphere is causing several anomalies in its system. This worries Carla, so she runs to the main deck and finds the mysterious sphere shooting a bright beam of light at the ship. The rest of the team also arrive at the spot and watch in utter shock. Meanwhile, a crew member named Tez points out the light seems to be a way to show the ship where to go. Good observation, TZ. As the Achilles continues to get closer, the AI picks up a noise coming from the sphere. Carla quickly analyzes it along with the others, decodes a message that repeatedly says D's, the Latin word for God. Ruben seems to be perturbed by this and asks the crew to return back. Carla also thinks that they should pause the trip and wait until the AI fixes the communication devices, but Paul decides to keep going afterward. The crew checks on Ruben and finds him crying in the corridor. He's still panicking and says the light is Judgment Day sent by God. Why would an astronaut be talking like that? He insists that he knows all of this because of some kind of divine voice in his head. Ruben then asks for the mission to be cancelled again before frantically leaving. Following this, the crew discusses their theories, and a burly muscular crew member named Yuel thinks it's their duty to find out what the sphere is. He adds that if it turns out to be an alien playing tricks, they can simply blow it up, but Paul, who is listening to the conversation through surveillance cameras, warns them against doing such a thing. When the ship is about to reach the sphere, both Carla and Ruben start hearing the voices again. A worried Al then takes Carla to her room, and she eventually opens up about her experiences. She reveals that she's been having headaches since the fateful car crash. How are any of these people qualified to be astronauts, but doesn't mention anything about the voices. Their talk is interrupted by Tez, who informs them that Ruben is missing. Ignoring her own health concerns, Carla joins the rest of the crew to search for their missing member. The team splits up for efficiency's sake, and Tez goes to check the cargo bay. She soon comes across a harrowing sight. Ruben is holding some sort of weird religious ritual behind some containers. TZ screams in horror, prompting the others to rush towards her general direction. Unfortunately, by the time Carla gets there, it's too late. TZ is dead on the floor with her guts spilling out. Ruben then takes Carla as hostage and begins blabbering mindlessly. He says that they're beyond redemption, and if they land on the sphere they'll be slaughtered. He accuses Paul of hiding information from them, and suggests they should take the ship from him. Just then, the captain appears behind Ruben and shoots without hesitation instantly, killing him. He then tells Ul to get 2 body bags. Get him a body bag, yeah, and appears to be calm despite just losing 2 crew members, but Carla is not ready to let the matter be swept under the carpet. The rug, maybe, but not the carpet. She confronts Paul, calling him out for behaving so coldly about their fellow team members' deaths. The captain, however, reminds her that they have a mission to complete and simply walks away. Elsewhere, Ul decides to put the bodies in their corresponding hibernation chambers instead of body bags. With only 3 hours left for landing, the crew gets into smaller aircraft to navigate through the sphere more easily. Carla notices some kind of structure on the sphere but can't fully understand what it is. When the ship finally lands on its destination, the communication devices begin working again, and the crew gets a call from Vance. He informs them that 10,000 unidentified structures like the one Carlos saw have appeared on Earth. Vance is convinced the sphere is behind this phenomena and wants the crew to solve the mystery as soon as possible. Following this, 3 members, Ul, Carla and mechanic Sean, suit up and leave the ship, while the captain watches them on the cameras. The sphere is completely dark, so the trio can't see in the distance. Carla scans the surface and concludes that the sphere is made up of an element that is yet to be discovered back on Earth. They then cautiously approach the nearby structure that Carla had earlier seen and soon realized it's some sort of a gate. Suddenly a bright light starts glowing inside the gate, and the crew hears a weird noise which shouldn't be possible in a vacuum, but given the way this has been going, that could just be a plot hole. Paul, who is monitoring the events from the ship, begins receiving radio transmissions from the light. It begins glowing even brighter, and the figure of a woman appears in the middle of the gate. She wastes no time and begins sending out messages with her mind, and the ship's AI translates them for the crew. It reveals that this being, who just appeared, claims to speak for the creator of all existence. Turns out the creator has a warning as well as a choice for humanity. Humans who enter these gate-like structures back on Earth will find eternal peace, but those who choose not to will die when the sphere eventually crashes to the Earth. Furthermore, the creator has chosen Carla to show what's awaiting on the other side of the gate. She has to relay her experience to the people back on Earth. Suddenly, the apparition of the woman turns into Carla's mother and tells her that someone is waiting for her inside the gate. Shocked, Carla is hypnotized by the sight of her mom and walks into the light. She then has a flashback about the car crash before finding herself near a golden city. Rather surprisingly, the wound she sustained during the accident is still fresh on her head. Carla then sees her daughter nearby and can't help but run towards her baby, but before they can reunite, the astronaut wakes up on a table in the ship. Al explains that she could barely stand when she came out of the gate, so he brought her back to the ship. Unfortunately, Shah collapsed CSED near the structure and didn't make it back to the ship himself. Their conversation is interrupted by a call from Vance, who wants to know all the details. Carla tells him about the Golden City, but doesn't mention seeing her family once. The call is over. Carla inquires about Sean's death, to which Ul replies that his suit had ruptured. She doesn't buy this explanation at all, but chooses to remain silent for the time being. Shortly afterwards, Carla and Dole reach a corridor where there are no security cameras. The latter asks what She really saw inside the gate, and she tells him about her family. Carla also explains that she doesn't trust Vance and Paul because it seems like they're hiding something. Moments later, Ewell returns to the deck and has a chat with Paul. The captain asks him what happened when he and Carla were out of the camera's reach. However, Al lies and says she didn't reveal anything new. Once the ship is out of the sphere's orbit, the AI announces that the crew should be ready to hibernate in 1 hour. Carla then grabs a knife and goes to check Shah's body in the pod, just as she had suspected. His suit seems to be perfectly fine and has no signs of rupture. Unenraged, Carla then breaks into Paul's room and goes inside to search for clues. Unbeknownst to her, the captain sees this on the security cameras and sends off to confront her. Meanwhile, Carla finds a gun and some files that seem to be classified, but before she can read them, Ewell reaches outside the room. A desperate Carla draws the gun and threatens him not to take another step. She then quickly skims through the files and realizes that Alul is an ex-elite corps soldier, but the latter explains that he has left his profession in the past and swears he doesn't know anything about the SPA. Following this, Carla forces him to go back to the main deck, where she points the gun at Paul. Instead, the captain asserts that mutiny against him is punishable by death, but Carla retaliates by revealing that Sean was killed by a gunshot. She thinks Ewell did it since he used to be a hitman. Fortunately, this tense moment is interrupted by a call from Advance. He promises that he isn't the bad guy and claims all the scientists believe Carla truly saw heaven. He furthermore reveals that he had earlier broadcasted footage of the sphere, having seen that video. Billions of people on Earth have gathered on the streets, desperate to leave the planet. This information leaves Carla in shock, and Paul ends up jumping on her. After a brief skirmish, Carla manages to shoot the captain in the chest, instantly killing him. She's also injured in the fight and is bleeding from her abdomen region. Nonetheless, Carla points the gun at Ewell, who finally admits to killing Sean. He had been wary of the mechanic, who is growing increasingly suspicious about Al's true intentions, but he doesn't want to kill her because he also wants to know the truth about the sphere and what she saw. Carla, who is extremely hurt, decides to trust Ul and lets him bandage her wound. After a while, she feels a lot better. Band-aids are great, and admits that she wants to go back to the sphere. This is almost impossible as Vance controls the ship's AI, essentially dictating where the vessel goes. Al then reveals that he has the code to override the AI, but they would have to drop a lot of weight off the ship to do so. They'd lose the main propulsion, and their trip back to Earth would take more than 5 years. Upon hearing this, Carla loses all hope, but Al says he has an alternate plan up his sleeve shortly. Afterwards, Carla returns to the deck and calls Vance. Once more, she is fully convinced that this whole sphere thing is a lie and tells him she'll destroy it if necessary. This forces Vance to reveal the entire truth, and he activates some classified files. They show the manufacturing process of the element Carla found earlier. Vance also admits that he was the one who built the sphere using that particular element. Turns out he did all of this to save Earth from overpopulation by killing 15 billion people. There's no God in the gate, and the sphere can't actually destroy Earth. Instead, it was all a lie to make people panic, prompting them to run towards the gates that appeared all over the planet. These poor people thought they were entering heaven, but they were actually walking to their deaths. However, Carla doesn't understand how she hurt her family after entering the gate. Vance then admits that he installed a chip in her head 2 years ago, right after the accident. He also takes responsibility for the car crash that killed her family. Everything has been part of his plan to train Carla for this trip. Upon hearing this, a stunned Carla begins sobbing and calls him a monster. Right at this moment, Dole contacts her, announcing that he's got his hands on the Achilles core. Vance suddenly realizes the duo is planning to destroy the sphere. He thus orders the AI to begin. The ship's auto-destruct sequence alarms soon start blaring and the AI announces that the Achilles will explode in 3 minutes. This enrages Carla, so she furiously shoots the hologram machine. Ending Vance's call, she then contacts Al, who gives her the code to separate the main ship from the huge structure that holds the cargo. However, Ul is still stuck in the elevator that connects the cargo area to the main ship. It doesn't move fast enough for him to return to the ship's deck in time. He tells Carla to leave without him, which she initially refuses to do, but just then the self-destruction timer rings and the Achilles begins exploding at multiple spots at once. Carla has no choice but to separate the ship and watches in horror as the rest of the spacecraft is utterly destroyed. However, Ul suddenly contacts her, revealing that he crossed over at the very last moment. The duo later celebrates their survival with a drink, and they discuss what they should do further. Al explains that since they lost half of the Achilles, the detonation of the ship's core will have to be done manually. Carla realizes there is no other way to destroy the sphere and says they'll do it together. However, when the ship lands on the sphere, Alul closes the door behind him, which leaves Carla inside. He tells her to go back to Earth so that she can tell everyone the truth. Carla, realizing that the decision has been made, bids a final goodbye to Ul. She then flies the ship, and when it is far away, Al detonates the core and destroys the sphere. At last, the movie comes to an end as Carla heads to Earth, a journey that will take 7 years. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.